everyone, welcome back to the Homespa Beauty Podcast. Today I am so happy to share a special guest with you, and it's Glynis Barber. Now, you'll know Glynis from so many stage and screen productions, and what I really like about her is when you see her name attached to anything, you know it's going to be good. Now, about 8 years ago, Glynis started a website called Ageless by Glynis Barber, and I joined the mailing list at the very beginning. It's a great website. It's full of lots of information about health and wellness, and especially in the last year, there's been so much helpful information to help guide us through. When I reached out to Glynis and asked if she'd like to chat about Ageless on the podcast, I was so happy when she said yes. Now, just bear in mind that we recorded it over Zoom, so sometimes you might hear the odd noise, maybe a little dog barking, but please don't let that put you off because we had a really, really good chat. Hope you enjoy. Thanks so much for talking to me, Glynis. And
it's a pleasure.
I have enjoyed Ageless since it started, but I can't actually think, how long has it been going for now? It seems.
No, I know people keep reminding me, and I was just trying to think of the actual year. I wonder, was it 2000? I think it was the end. I think it launched in November 2011.
Right.
So no, 2012.
And
could be 2013. I'm not sure, but so I think it's about 8 years, which I can't believe. It's quite a long time.
And the time must have flown because
it has.
It has. How long it had been. I just look forward to my email every couple of weeks. And it's always, what I love about it is the topics are always so varied, but they're always within that zone, that holistic.
Yeah, they're all, I mean, I suppose my absolute main focus is health. And obviously, and I've been interested in health for a long time. And, but I completely, can you hear my dog barking? Sorry, she barks a lot. So I totally relate health to aging and how you age and how you're going to age and how you're going to feel as you age. And I also relate it to beauty. So to me, health is everything. You know, to not be healthy, to not look after yourself, to have health problems, to have weight problems, to have internal problems, and then go and try and get a cream that's going to make you look more youthful or have fillers or Botox, to me is just really not the right way to go about it.
Yeah, and I think we all think we're quite invincible when we're younger, and we can just, if you want to eat the junk food, there'll be no payoff for it. If you don't look after your skin will always be the way that it is just now. And then there comes a point, hopefully when you're younger though, there comes a point when you realise, I better start looking after this body, I better start looking after this skin.
And trust me, I was that person. I mean, I sort of became interested in health in my late 20s, but up until that point, I have a very, very sweet tooth. I love sweets. I mean, I absolutely love them. I love sugar. And it is and continues to be a constant battle. And I'm not perfect, because I think a lot of people think, oh, you're perfect, you're always exercising, even amongst my friends, like, oh, don't you know me? Can't you see what I'm eating? They think that I eat so perfectly and I do everything just perfectly. And the truth is, I'm always amazed and shocked when people think that, because honestly, I am a human being. I have days where I just go, I'm just going to sit on the sofa and I'm going to eat chocolate and drink rosé. I mean, I have those days. But I suppose what I will do then is the next day, or maybe the day after, I'll go, okay, if I eat like this all the time, I just don't feel good. So I like to feel good. I hate being sick. I hate not being healthy. And it's a strong motivation for me, really, because I'm a bit of a coward. I absolutely loathe being sick.
Yes, I get that too. I'm the same. If cake was a health food, I would be the healthiest person in the world.
Oh, I love cake. I really love cake.
That I'm not keen on. I like them all, but I'm the same. If I don't feel right, then
everything just becomes, I get more agitated because I don't like the feeling of not feeling the best that I can.
Yeah.
And I like the articles are really
And
helpful.
you find it quite sensitive to foods, because I know loads of people who eat junk food and it doesn't seem to bother them. But when I eat junk food, I actually feel terrible. And I don't know if that is because I am quite healthy, that my body's more sensitive to it. But I can't drink a lot. I mean, I do sometimes, but boy, do I suffer for it. And if I eat real junk food, or if I have a lot of sugar, I mean, I get heart palpitations. I mean, I just feel absolutely terrible.
There must be something in some of us then, because if I have a day of bad eating, I think I've enjoyed it. But
Yeah.
I might feel maybe like agitated and I don't quite know why.
Yeah,
maybe
I do too.
But here's something, I might be the only Scottish person in the world that's never had a hangover, and I do like a drink, and I don't know why. I can't drink a lot though, so maybe that's it. But I have never had a hangover.
Well, I think I can answer that for you.
Oh.
Because I know a few people. I actually once had a boyfriend who liked to drink and never had a hangover. And I've got another friend who likes to drink, never gets a hangover. And I think it's an enzyme or something that's missing, because I think it's something in your body that isn't registering, and I think it's quite an unfortunate thing, because a hangover there is to tell you this is enough. This is not good for you. This is not good for your liver, and you're now completely dehydrated, and you need to stop. But when you don't have a hangover, you don't get those signals. It's like not getting a signal if you burn yourself and you can't feel it. It doesn't mean you're not doing the damage. You're still burning yourself and you're still damaging your skin and your nerve endings. But if you don't get a hangover, you're not getting the signals that you're supposed to get to tell you you've drunk too much. So people who don't get hangovers do tend to drink more than others, I find.
That would make sense. I'm going to blame the ancestry. I've got some Russian in the family, so I'm going to blame
them. Well, yeah.
Back to how the website started then. Where did the idea actually come from?
Well, yeah, I mean, it sort of wasn't really planned. It happened when I first went on Twitter, which I think was 2011. And I had sort of just recently come out of EastEnders, and I made a yoga DVD. And the PR said to me, she said, look, you're going to have to do some form of social media to publicize the DVD. So I chose Twitter. And I went on Twitter, and my gosh, Twitter seemed so different in 2011 than it does now. It was far less angry. It was less people, and it was quite fun. I had a real laugh on Twitter, so I quite enjoyed it actually. But people kept asking me questions. They kept saying, well, how do you keep your skin like that? And, what lipstick are you wearing? And, you seem quite youthful for your age. And, what is your secret and what do you do? And I was inundated with people asking me questions. So I found that I was spending quite a lot of time answering these questions and saying, well, this is what I do with my skin. And, this is what I do. And, I don't use that kind of product. I use this kind of product. And then, I think it became obvious that I was interested in health, and I had the yoga DVD, and people started asking me health questions. And I think one night on Twitter, I said, well, maybe I should, do you want me to start a website or something? And I hadn't really thought it through. And everyone, yes, please start a website. And I think it still took me another year to create it, because I had quite a lot of fear attached. Because I thought, well, I'm not a doctor. I'm not sure I actually know anything. And then I thought, what will I write about? How will I find something to write about every week? And that was my main fear. I was absolutely terrified. I thought, how will I keep this going? And but I did it anyway. And I've never had to wonder what to worry about. It's amazing how it just flows. and things come up, and then it was great because people, the moment I had the website, people got in touch with me, companies, and they said, please try, we know you like natural products, so will you try this product, which is great, because unless people send you things, you can't keep a website going, really. So I got sent a lot of stuff, some of it I liked, in which case I tended not to write about it. So I would just write about the things that I really liked. And yeah, it grew from there. And here, sort of 8 years later, and I don't even know how many articles I've written, but well over 100.
Oh, easily, because as I say, I get the email, which is every 2 weeks. I look forward to a Saturday when it hits the inbox. And I also like, if anyone subscribes, you always have a little quote, and it's always really amusing. The little
I don't know if anybody notices that, actually.
Because
I always have a little quote.
They're funny, or they give you food for thought. And I like these. And so I like the fact that, again, yesterday I was having a look in the website. So if I've received all the emails, and I've obviously read all the articles, but I was going on and I was reminding myself of things that had been maybe written 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
You should take a look at your library. It's big.
Yeah.
It's giant. And I also thought that this past year, you wrote some really helpful information to help people from all sorts of backgrounds navigate through the bizarre 12 months that we've had.
Yes, and it was, when the pandemic started and we went into lockdown, it felt very frivolous to write articles about beauty or products or makeup, and I felt a bit uncomfortable about it. And so I asked my subscribers, I said, what do you want me to do? And just hands down, they said, please keep writing. We look forward to it. We need something to look forward to. We need something to distract us. But I also felt I couldn't ignore what was going on. So I did do a few articles, and will continue to do, that I felt were important. And in fact, I've got a little story about how some of that came about. So everybody said, no, please continue. So I sent out my newsletter, and I always say what I'm doing. And of course, I'm not on the front line. I'm not in a hospital. I'm not a nurse. So I'm at home at lockdown with my family, walking the dog, watching telly. And in one of my newsletters, and I said, and of course, like most people who are at home, a little bit bored sometimes, and, everybody started playing games and Scrabble and that. And I put that in one of my early newsletters, and I got an email, a private email, from one of my subscribers who was a nurse. And she was upset. And she was very upset at my newsletter. And at first I was like, oh my, how dare she? And then I thought, Glynis, just sit down and read this. And she was on the front line, and she was upset because she felt that she couldn't relate to my newsletter anymore. Because when I wrote, I think I'd written something about how my husband and I were playing Scrabble. And I think it was that sentence. She said, I can't believe there's a world where, people are sitting down and playing Scrabble. I can't relate to this anymore. And then I went, she is living in a completely different universe to me. And I wrote back to her and I said, okay, please, I really, really want to help. What are you struggling with? What are you going through? Because I really want to try and help you. So that led to, I think, a couple of episodes that I really were dedicated to her, to help people on the front line. Because then when I sat down, and then it was great because she told me exactly what it was like. So the stress, the pressure, wearing PPE all day, wearing masks all day, and they were all suffering from backache. They all had spots all over their face. They had spots on their back. Their skin was falling apart. They weren't eating properly. And so anyway, I then I got some advice from various people. I found, products to help with that, things that might help. So anyway, it was great in the end because, She said, I've printed these articles out, and they're on the news board, in the hospital, and I've told everyone to go and look at them, and we're all doing it, and we're all trying that, and that was great. I felt so good about that.
That is good. And I relate because I work freelance and I work in the beauty industry, and I might be booked to do massages, and then I might be booked for filming, for makeup, and all of that came to an end. But I have a YouTube channel, and I didn't know what to do. Should I still make videos? It seems we're kind of divided. Do I make a video about something and people might say, you've lost touch? Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
The feedback that I got was that people wanted something to switch off, and it might be, again, split in two. Maybe some people were struggling at home. Might be stressed at work. So I also had nurses contacting me saying, your videos help me just switch off at night. And it might be something as simple as doing a hands treatment. And sometimes people were saying, again, you showed us how to do DIY hand scrubs because there was a time where you couldn't either get into shops or you couldn't get products.
Exactly. But the first lockdown was such a shock when everything closed. So that was another thing I did. I did an article about, everything you can do at home. All of a sudden, no pedicures, no manicures, no hairdressers. So, okay, what are we going to do? So, I was looking, and I think and I did another whole one just on hand cream because, with us constantly washing our hands. And honestly, I can't tell you how much hand cream I use. I use hand cream sort of 2 or 3 times a day.
And
every day.
Exactly the same. And when you're washing your hands, I remember the article you were saying again about washing your hands. If it's also, that was in the summer. When you move into the winter and you're washing your hands, there's a whole different set of issues with the drying out even more so. You can add the layer of the different atmosphere, the central heating. So that's also so helpful what you're doing.
And and also, of course, there's the whole mental aspect. Obviously, that's been in the news recently that a lot of doctors and nurses are now suffering from PTSD. They're absolutely exhausted. And can you imagine, they've had 10 straight months of working full on, seeing people dying, people on their own. It's like a war zone. But even for the rest of us who are just at home trying to live a normal life, this has had huge ramifications on mental health. So I did a little article just before Christmas on how to beat the blues. But I don't know about you, but now as we've gone into lockdown, now it's very different to the earlier lockdown because, it's winter and the virus is, I feel more wary now than I did in last time because this new variant is so infectious. I know people I know are falling like flies, and you go, well, how does that happen when we're in lockdown? But we've now spent so much time indoors with shops closed, restaurants closed, with no life, not seeing friends, that I can feel a real difference mentally. Now, what I mean by that is I can feel, because I'm very sensitive to what's happening in my body, I can feel changes in my brain. My brain feels different. So that's something I want to look at next, I think, is what exactly is going on in our brains. And obviously, anxiety and depression and suicide has rocketed. And I completely understand why. So I feel that needs to be addressed, and I do think meditation is a very powerful thing. So I do quite often, I've got a Facebook page as well, so I often put little things in there, and I do talk about meditation quite a lot. I talk about exercise a lot, which I've always talked about, but I think now more than ever, exercise is just absolutely crucial.
That's so true. You're right, and the exercise. I had read that you did YouTube workouts. I also...
Yes. So, obviously the gyms are closed. And to be honest, I haven't been to a gym since March. Even when they opened in the summer, I just thought, you know what? No, I don't want to. I did an article about the gym and going back to the gym. Is it safe? So I did an article about that. And I personally decided not to go back. And it'll be a while. I think it'll be a while. So yeah, I found all the, it's amazing what you can find on YouTube. There are all these workouts. So actually I did invest in some weights. Because I think it's very important, especially for women, especially as you get older, to do weight-bearing exercises. So I spent a little bit of money on buying weights. I mean, not a huge amount, but just so I have various weights. And then we work out in front of the telly and we do that, and we go for walks. It's great. You can do yoga. I do Zoom yoga classes. Yoga is very important. Breathing's very important, and meditation. But I don't know about you, but what I found in the last couple of weeks, because of the weather and because they are saying don't go out unless you have to, but I think that's not healthy. I mean, obviously we have to do that, but the fact is that our immune systems need a challenge. So the irony is, the government is saying stay at home and don't go out, but in fact that'll do is it'll weaken your immune system. So walking in nature and being out in nature, this is why I think going for walks, jogs, exercising outside right now is probably the most beneficial thing you can do. Because especially if you're in nature, there are bacteria and elements in the air that are absorbed into our bodies that are very beneficial for us. And I've had a few days in the last couple of weeks where I haven't left the house. And I was lying in bed the other night, and and sometimes when it's just really cold and it's rainy and you've done your exercise and you go, what is the point of going outside? I don't want to walk in the rain. But I actually think that it's very important to get outside every day, for our melatonin levels, if nothing else. Because if you don't go outside, you're going to suffer from a form of jet lag as well. And to be honest, usually I only go out once a day for a walk, and even that isn't really enough, to be honest. And so I do think we have to make sure that we maintain our healthy immune systems, and that even if it's cold and windy and rainy and windy, I think at least once we've got to go out and see daylight.
Yes, just again, your vitamin D, it's hard to get in the winter anyway. And
it is. Well, I mean, for anyone living in Britain right now, I personally would recommend taking vitamin D. The D3 and K2, because they work in synergy together. So it's important to take the K3 alongside the D2. And what they've discovered is that a lot of people who are getting COVID very badly are low on vitamin D levels. And vitamin D is one of the cheapest vitamins there is. And I mean, I would take it anyway. Yeah. And take a good dosage. So I do think supplements at this time are very, very important. Vitamin C is very important as well. And in fact, there was even talk at one stage, and it's funny because I feel the press is so filtered right now, what they talk about. But there was talk at one stage, they were even using vitamin C therapy in some hospitals. Doing vitamin C infusions because it was extremely helpful.
Yeah, I did read about that. Is that something, do you know if they're still trialing that out?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know if they are, but I know certainly in the early bits when I think they've discovered, medications, and they've come quite a long way in how they treat it now. But as trust me, in my house, we have very good vitamin D levels. We have very good vitamin C levels. And, zinc is important. And there's another supplement that's quite unusual. Not everybody knows about it, called quercetin. So I don't know if you know about quercetin.
We're familiar, no.
And they say that's a very important one, especially if you get COVID. And so that's something we take in our house as well.
And touch wood, that's the thing. All you can wish for at the moment is to be healthy, and I'm guessing.
Well, it really is.
Talking about supplementation, that's another thing that I'm really impressed with. Everything that you put on the website, all the articles, you're constantly giving us different angles for supplementation. And very briefly, I've always taken supplements, but last summer, you know, when you couldn't go to the doctors, I didn't realise that my iron was dropping. And the warning sign that I got, which wasn't very pleasant, was I woke up during the night in July, just one night, into a panic attack. And long story short, it wasn't actually panic. What had happened was my iron had dropped to a level where adrenaline had kind of taken over. And obviously adrenaline was very steadily climbing. And then it must have been just, for some reason, I woke up, everything felt very heightened, a bit of a panic. I had my suspicions, you know, when you get a feeling.
How did you find out it was your iron?
Well, I was able to contact the doctors, and at that point you still couldn't really get blood tests.
Yeah.
You say the magic words, which was, I think my iron's low. And that wasn't the panic that made me think that. I just had that tiredness. I don't nap during the day, but I was doing my exercise, and then by about 2 o'clock I was thinking, just have a little 20 minutes. All these little symptoms. When I said those words, I think my iron's low, the nurse actually said, we are still doing blood tests if they think they're necessary.
Yeah.
So my blood's taken maybe a week later. The next day I got a phone call and the doctor said, you lady, you're getting put on your iron tablets. But in addition to that, there's a place near me that do excellent supplementation.
Yeah.
So I was able to, the iron tablet on its own very rarely gets to the root. So they supplemented with B12 and complex, and you know, it didn't take very long at all before I was back up where I needed to be.
It was funny because you sort of knew it was your iron, which is very clever of you. I mean, I don't think I would have known.
Signs, just, I can't explain it. I think it's because I've got a bit of a tendency, it can go low.
Oh, right.
Napping during the day, and you didn't normally do that. It can sometimes be that. Also, one random one, just randomly I might have seen a little bit, not your nail doesn't go blue, it's not like a dramatic thing, just a little hint in my thumb every so often, it's going a little bit darker pink, and I thought, well, you see,
the problem. I mean, people must have so many health problems that are just not being noticed, and most people aren't aware, and they don't know. I mean, they just wouldn't have a clue what was wrong. And a lot of people, even if they're not feeling great, they don't want to bother the doctor, or they're afraid of going to the doctor. So it is a great worry that, you know, all the other illnesses are just not being looked after. So I think it's so important for people to really take care of themselves and to call the doctor if something isn't right.
And I would say as well that everyone does get anxious at the moment, but if you feel that your anxiety has come from nowhere, I would say maybe you might have a little deficiency, and it can trick your body. And I think it's fascinating how adrenaline can take over. And
of course, adrenaline can be from stress as well. I mean, it's so hard to tell. I mean, stress has such a profound effect on the body. I mean, I know that when we went into the first lockdown, for weeks afterwards, I felt exhausted. I was so tired. It wasn't a natural kind of tiredness. And do you know, funnily enough, when they put us in lockdown beginning of January, and we were, listen, in London, we were already in lockdown because we were in tier 4. So it was, you know, pretty much lockdown. But it had such a detrimental mental effect on me. I got really low for a week, and I felt that same exhaustion I had in the first lockdown. But that it lasted for about a week. But you know what? I've been really taking good care of myself, and I say that because, to be honest, for the whole of lockdown, I have been eating for England. You know, I think stress affects us all differently, and my immediate reaction. I mean, when the pandemic started in March, I was actually in great shape. I mean, I was very healthy, and I was like very slim. The moment they put us in lockdown, I felt this uncontrollable urge to eat. and to feed my family. I was obsessed with food, and trying to get an online order was almost impossible. I'd be at 5 o'clock in the morning, midnight, trying to get I was obsessed about not getting food for my family, and all I wanted was carbs. And it was interesting because I thought to myself, this is a very stressful moment in time. And I thought, I'm not going to fight this. My body wants this, and there's some ancestral need here. This is a genetic response, and I'm not going to fight it. So I indulged myself, and I decided at the beginning of this year, I thought, no, I really, really want to, because I gained a few pounds, and wine was helpful. You're just at home. There's nowhere to go, nothing to do. Of course, you're going to have a glass of wine or two when you watch telly every night. And I thought, you know what, I've got to now really go for it. And it's hard in the winter in lockdown, but I've been doing it for a few weeks now, and I cannot tell you how much better I feel.
Starting to feel back in sync.
Energy levels, waking up in the morning, just being bright and clear. And sometimes I go, I don't really want to get out of bed. I mean, there is absolutely no point because there's nothing happening. But when I do get up, I feel, I'm actually usually up really early, but I just feel fresh and good. And it's funny because I have since March pretty much eaten very differently to how I've eaten in the last few years. And I know lots of people have, and I know a lot of people have gained quite a bit of weight. And but the problem is this is going on a bit too long now. So if we continue to completely indulge ourselves, then suddenly we're going to have a lot of weight to lose, and it's going to get harder. So I've decided to go for it now, and but once again, I'm being very kind to myself. I'm just eating healthy things. I'm doing a dry January, which I thought was I was dreading more than anything, but actually I'm really enjoying that too.
See, that's good.
I'm not finding it hard, and I really thought I would.
You must have just been, like you say, ready for it. And when you're ready,
I think my body was really ready for it, and I'm actually actively enjoying eating really healthy foods and sort of eating less carbs. Because at the end of the day, I think your body thinks you need carbs because you're sort of stressed and it wants instant gratification and energy. But in the long run, those carbs don't give you energy. So there's always a fall afterwards. So you actually end up pretty tired.
Well, you are a champion for eggs. I like eggs. Obviously, if someone's vegan or they're allergic, that's a whole different thing. But I think eggs are great. It's such a convenient, healthy way.
I love eggs. People are always shocked when I tell them how many eggs I eat, because I eat eggs every day. But eggs, people think that eating those foods, you're going to get cholesterol from your food, but actually, that there was a lot of misinformation around for many years around heart disease, cholesterol, and the food, and we actually get very little cholesterol in our bodies from the food we eat. It's only about, I think, 25% of that. The cholesterol is made in our liver if our body needs it, and cholesterol is a very needed component. It's a hormone. It's needed in every single cell of our body, and so if you have high cholesterol, actually your body needs it. I'm not saying it's good and you should try and get high cholesterol, because if you have high cholesterol, it can, in certain instances, cause problems, but not always. So you can eat as many eggs as you want with impunity, and I eat at least 18 a week.
So that's good going. I get 12 a week.
It's a perfect protein. It's like a perfect protein.
Well, that's it. I just think they're so convenient, and if for any reason you're tired or you get in late, not that we can go anywhere at the moment, but you can rustle up something in minutes.
Well, exactly. If you've got eggs in your fridge, trust me, I have an omelette for dinner several times a week, and eggs are satisfying, because you want to have a good amount of protein. because you want to maintain your muscle mass. Protein is very good for you, and it's very necessary. And eggs are so great, so you can supplement any protein you're having. Being a little bit of salmon, you have your eggs on the side. I cooked chicken the other night, some grilled chicken, and I had some left over, so I chopped it up and I put it into a big salad today, and then I had some boiled eggs on the side. So you know what, I couldn't even finish it. It was such a substantial meal that I couldn't even finish it. So eggs are just brilliant, and they're very satisfying. If you like eggs, some people don't like them, but if you do like eggs, some fried eggs or an omelette is very satisfying. You don't feel deprived at all, do you?
So for me, if anyone doesn't like them or can't eat them, do you have anything that you would say is an equivalent that they could?
I don't know if there's anything quite the equivalent, but obviously, good proteins, because I brought out this book, The In-Sync Diet, with a nutritionist, Fleur Borelli. So we talk about this kind of thing a lot. And, Fleur always said the perfect proteins are eggs, chicken, and fish. And meat is okay occasionally, but she didn't think it was as perfect a protein. The other thing is, obviously, it's difficult for vegans and vegetarians. But other things that are full of protein are things like mushrooms, which I think a lot of people don't know. So mushrooms are extremely healthy and are full of protein, as is seaweed. So seaweed is a good thing to have as well.
Yeah, and I think, is samphire part of that family? Because I quite like samphire. I think it might be part of that.
No, that's a very good question, actually, and I don't know.
Once that it was part of the seaweed family, and it is.
Well, if it is part of the seaweed family, then I would presume it would have good amounts of protein.
To it, and I thought, I quite like a bit of samphire too. So
yeah.
And then just to finish, I was saying to you previously that I always find that at the beginning of the year, I've got an idea of what I want to cover. But then, as we were saying earlier, one topic might lead you to another topic. Do you have a basic idea of where you want Ageless to go this year? Are you quite happy just to...
I've been thinking, because a lot of time was taken up in the last few years with the In-Sync Diet, which... we created a website. And so I feel, in a way, I slightly neglected Ageless a bit, but I'm not involved with the website anymore. So, the one thing is, this week on Ageless will be my first video, because I haven't really done videos for Ageless before. So I was having a little treatment in that small gap in December where we were allowed out. I managed to have a treatment, and then just on the spur of the moment, I put, and it was really awkward because I didn't have a selfie stick or anyone to record it. I had to hold it while I was doing the treatment. So I think that that's what I'm going to do this year, is I'm going to do some videos for Ageless. And I've been thinking about that, and there's lots of things I'd like to do. And I think I might do some to de-stress people, because I have this breathing method that I do that I have found extremely helpful for stress. Any breathing is going to help you, but I think to be able to share a method that I've found very helpful, and also maybe I could even do some meditation videos, because I think that would be nice. The other thing that I'm really interested in doing, and that I've already started doing, is specifically looking for beauty products that have active ingredients. And this all began last year on Ageless, because I ended up being put on something called a Visia machine, and I did several articles about it. And a Visia machine is like a giant microscope, and it looks at your skin very, very carefully and gives you an absolutely brutal account of your skin. And, people always say to me, oh, you look so young and your skin is so nice. So, I thought it would be okay, and it wasn't. And I was really shocked about what it said about my skin. And I've always concentrated on very natural products, organic products, chemical-free products. And but what I was taught by this skin expert who put me on the Visia machine is that when you reach a certain age, of which I'm most definitely am, you've got to have active ingredients. Otherwise, you're just not going to see results in your skin. And, you know, aging begins to accelerate. And I have noticed this myself. So what she did was she put me on a regime of, this was at the Harley Street Skin Clinic, and, you know, they sell various products. So she put me on some a retinol and other ingredients, and a fruit acid peel. Well, it's a wipe that you just wipe your skin and it peels. And I did this for a few months, and I went back on the Visio machine a few months later, and the results were just absolutely phenomenal. And I mean, the Visio machine is a great machine because it really doesn't lie. You know, it's not fudging the issue here. It is just brutally honest. And I was so impressed with the results. And then I actually ended up going back a few months later, and by then I'd come off those great products, and I was trying to find other products, and I was thinking, oh, I wonder if you know, my results are still good. And my results had got even better. I'd almost maximized the results I could get, and my skin definitely had a much more glowy feel, and a lot of people were commenting on my skin, and interestingly, more so than when I do some treatments. I was getting a better result with these products. So I've completely changed how I see products now. And I love the organic oils, and I love all those natural things. But I've realized the key for me at my age, and a lot of my subscribers who are a very similar age, it's the active ingredients. So we might have to sacrifice a little bit of those organic products. So I've been, for example, I've recently been trialing a fantastic range that is so reasonable, called Garden of Wisdom from Victoria Health. They're incredibly reasonable, and they're full of active ingredients, and they are not chemical free. And let me just qualify that, because everything is a chemical. You know, a lot of people say, oh, people don't know what they're talking about when they're talking about natural products, because, you know, everything's a chemical. Yes, I know, but there are chemicals and chemicals. So you know, when I say chemicals, I'm talking about parabens, and I'm talking about things that are hormone disruptors, and things that can be pretty toxic. So yes, these products are not completely natural. However, they are clean, because even lab-produced products, some of them have got, you know, the big nasties and some don't, and some of them are produced in a very pure way. So the Garden of Wisdom is very good quality. And this year is all going to be about organic ingredients on my site. I mean, active ingredients. And I'm also really going to see what the natural world has to offer in this. And I've already found quite a few. So, of course, now I have to experiment, because everything I write about on my site, I use on myself. And what I can see is that a lot of the natural companies, even ones I've worked with before, are really beginning to up their game with active ingredients, which is great news. So I will be experimenting with those, which is very exciting, because these things do give you results. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going on the Visio machine through the year to test if these ingredients really are working, because it's the only way to know. In fact, I'm dying to go on it right now, and I was due to go on last week, and of course, you know, we're all locked down, so it's not possible.
That is a brilliant idea, because I agree. Even 10 years ago, the organic products and the natural products, they would be good, but sometimes you would think, oh, this is great, but if only it was just ramped up a little bit. So would you advise, if there's anyone, any small brands that actually listen to this and they think that you might be interested in seeing what they're doing, just to get in touch via the website?
Yes, absolutely. And you know, a lot of people do, which is absolutely wonderful. But yes, I'm very open to it. I actually have just discovered a completely new brand. I won't talk about it yet, because I literally just received their stuff today. Never heard of before. But part of their MO is finding natural, organic, active ingredients. So this is great news. So I think there's a shift. I can see a shift, and I'm suddenly, now that I've discovered this and seen the results on myself, and I don't know if it's because I'm actively looking for it, but I even green people who I write about a lot, and they've got now a product that'll be coming out soon. It's not even out yet. They're calling it active ingredients. So, we'll see what that is, and we'll definitely be testing that.
This sounds very exciting. I can't think of anyone that's doing it like this. I can't name anyone I watch on YouTube, anything I see on Instagram. I don't think there's anyone that's actually testing the different ranges of products from the different areas and actually putting them through their paces in that way. This is exciting.
Well, yes. I mean, that's always what I've done. I mean, my poor face. I mean, and when I find something that I really like I'm really into the Garden of Wisdom right now, and I'm going, oh no, I'm going to have to stop them. And then I go on to the next thing, but then I love that too. So my skin, is just is the guinea pig.
I am looking forward to the machine element. That's going to be great. So we won't need to wait too much longer then, just if we can hold off for these lockdowns to release.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. So I intend, I will be visiting that Vizia machine. And I don't know what the result will be. It could be good, it could be bad. But as I said, unfortunately, I can't do anything right now because of the lockdown, which is very, very frustrating. And also the other thing is, because I'm testing things myself, these things do take time. I mean, I don't just slap it on once and then write an article. I mean, I use them for weeks and weeks so that I can see how it's working. And, so I know sometimes I think people or brands get frustrated, well, when are you going to do our article? We said that to you ages ago. And I go, I've got a backlog here. I mean, if you could see my bathroom, if you could see all the products, I actually had to get a huge big basket, which I've got on the floor, absolutely filled with products.
It sounds like the most fun basket, though.
It is a fun basket.
So if anyone's not subscribed, I would recommend that they subscribe to your mailing list. And the website, if you want to share that with us again.
Yeah, it's just Ageless by glynisbarber.com, and you won't be bombarded with letters. I only do an article every 2 weeks to keep myself sane, and you'll get a letter, and the letter will contain my quote, which hopefully will inspire you or make you laugh, and it'll have the latest article, and just give you a little heads up about what's coming up and what you can expect.
Well, I would thoroughly recommend it as a subscriber myself. And Glynis, thanks so much for chatting with me.
Thanks, Elaine.
And that was our chat. Don't you think that Glynis knows so much about the overall health and wellness landscape? You can tell that there's a lot of good articles still to come. And I'm looking forward to that first video, and I hope there's many more. So I hope you enjoyed that podcast. As always, let me know your thoughts, if you've got any recommendations, if you'd like to hear more from anyone, if you've got any suggestions. And as always, have a lovely day, and I'll see you again soon.